Hey, you made it. You're here. And hopefully horizontal. If not, maybe you're curled into that strange halfway sprawl that somehow still qualifies as resting. Either way, it's okay. We're not rushing anything tonight. There's no test tomorrow. No emails, no Slack pings, no unpaid bills creeping in the background. Just you, your breath, and the quiet. Now, if your body is ready to start slowing down, and your eyes are heavy enough to start ignoring the outside world, I'd like to take you somewhere very old. Older than Instagram. Older than indoor plumbing. Older than the idea of Europe showing up and throwing everything into chaos. We're going back to a time when people lived by the river, built entire cities from dirt, and had no idea they'd someday be reduced to a footnote in a high school textbook. So close your eyes. Forget about electricity. Forget about brunch menus and screen time limits. Tonight, you're going to wake up in a Mississippian Mound city. Congratulations. You're now alive in the year 1050 CE. Or, well, the concept of year isn't quite the same here. No one's flipping a wall calendar, but it's morning. That much is clear. You're not in a house. You're in a structure made of wattle and daub. That means a bunch of upright wooden poles tied together, filled in with branches, then smeared with a paste of clay, grass, and, you guessed it, mud. If it rained last night, the smell is, earthy. Let's call it earthy. The roof? That's thatched. Layers of river cane and dried grasses stacked just enough to keep out most of the rain. Not all. Not if the wind was in a mood. But hey, you're dry enough. You didn't wake up in a puddle, and that's what we call a win in this neighborhood. You stretch. Except you don't have a mattress. No memory foam, no Egyptian cotton. You've got a sleeping mat woven from reeds. It's slightly softer than the packed dirt floor, and only smells a little like fish and mildew. You roll over and hear it creak like an old basket being stepped on. Your joints protest, but not because you're old. Everyone's joints here protest. It's the living. Knees weren't made for this many squats. Someone's already up. You hear feet brushing against the ground outside, voices murmuring low, and a baby somewhere in the distance wailing the universal language of, "I'm hungry and cold and I do not care for it." You sit up, rub your eyes. You're wearing a tunic of softened deerskin or woven bark fiber, depending on how lucky you are. If it's winter, you'll be layering that with a fur cloak. But it's not winter today. Just humid. Very humid. The kind of humid where your clothes stick to your back before you've even moved, and it's not even breakfast yet. Speaking of breakfast, you're not grabbing a granola bar. There is no fridge. There is no shelf. Food, if there is any, was stored in baskets up on poles, hopefully sealed tightly enough that raccoons or ants didn't throw a party last night. You step outside. The sky's already bright, the air buzzing with insects and smoke. Not a clean scent, not exactly. Kind of a mix between river mud, wood smoke, sweat, and whatever died in the marsh last week. You'd gag, but your nose stopped noticing 2 days ago. Children are running barefoot, chasing each other through the dust. One of them trips and skins a knee. No one reacts, not because they don't care, but because they've got more pressing concerns than a little blood. There's corn to grind, there's wood to haul, there are fires to keep going. Life here doesn't stop for skinned knees. It barely pauses for childbirth. Your job this morning? You're going to the Central Plaza to help prepare for a ceremony. It's not just a Sunday thing. Religion and daily life are the same here. There is no work-life balance. There is just living. The chief, who lives up on one of the biggest mounds, and no, you don't get to visit unless you're important, has declared this week sacred. A festival is coming. That means food offerings, rituals, and a lot of sweating under the sun pretending you're not extremely uncomfortable. But you go anyway, because everyone goes. You grab a pot from the communal storage hut. Clay, handmade, probably decorated with spirals and bird shapes, and start walking to the edge of the forest to collect herbs. You're not alone. There's a group of women already ahead of you, chatting quietly, some with babies slung onto their backs in woven cradle boards. You pass fields where corn grows in neat clusters, surrounded by beans that spiral up the stalks and squash spreading like ground cover. The Three Sisters, they're called. No, not by you. That name's coming later. But the idea is old. Older than Cahokia. And if the squirrels haven't raided everything again, you might have enough to trade later for fish or tobacco. Your feet are filthy. That's not new. Your feet have been filthy since you learned how to walk. They're calloused, cracked, and if you step on a thorn, you just pull it out and keep moving. And here comes the first joke from the universe. Mosquitoes. So many mosquitoes. They are not subtle. They swarm. They hover like tiny humming demons waiting to feast. You slap one, miss, and slap again. You are losing. Everyone is. You learn to live with itchy welts and constant buzzing. It's your life now. Welcome to survival. And this is just breakfast. You return with what you need: wild mint, some berries, maybe even a lucky root if the soil was soft enough to dig. You hand it over to the older women who are stirring something in a pot. It smells like corn mush. Again, because it's always corn mush, with maybe a bit of dried fish tossed in if you're lucky. If not, you get plain mush, still better than nothing. You sit with the others, legs folded, eyes squinting against the sun. No chairs, no coffee, just a bowl in your hands and the warmth of the fire at your feet. You eat slowly. The texture is enthusiastic, a mix of wet sand and burnt popcorn. You chew anyway, because if you don't, your stomach will do that loud, embarrassing growl that everyone pretends not to hear, but absolutely hears. Then it's time to work again. You head toward the mound, the big one, the one that looks like a miniature hill but isn't. Monk's Mound, though no one calls it that yet. It's the heart of the city, towering over everything, a symbol of power, built not with machines or blueprints, but with baskets. Thousands and thousands of baskets filled with dirt, hauled one at a time by hand over generations. No steel, no pulleys, just people. You want a monument? This is one. But it's not for tourists. It's for control. You're not going up there. That's for the elite. Priests, chiefs, their families. You're the ground team. Literally. Your job is down here, helping shape the clay into bricks, repairing walls, hauling logs, whatever needs to be done. You are infrastructure maintenance. No one says thank you. Someone calls your name. Not your modern name, obviously. That would break the illusion. You have a name here, but it means something like Riverborn, or Fast Hand, or Daughter of the Moon. It's poetic. Everyone's name is poetic. Until someone's yelling it because you forgot to patch a hole in the granary roof, and now the raccoons got in again. You head to the work site, grabbing a wooden hoe along the way. It's heavy, not because of the tool, but because you know what's coming. Hours of chipping, scraping, hauling, all under a sun that doesn't believe in moderation. And here's the kicker: no water bottle. If you want water, you hike to the communal jug, which was filled from the river earlier and filtered. Well, not filtered, just settled. Clearish. If it tastes like dirt, that's because it is dirt. If it tastes sweet, that's probably algae. You drink it anyway, because your other option is passing out in front of your great aunt, who will never let you forget it. You work beside others, mostly women, some older children. The men are off hunting today, or at the ball court, depending on the mood. The city's not small. Tens of thousands of people live here. This isn't a camp. This is a metropolis, by the standards of the time. Maybe not New York, but definitely not tiny village in the woods. You've got neighborhoods, trade zones, even traffic problems. Okay, not traffic the way you know it, but try squeezing past 10 women carrying logs on a path the width of your arm span. That's rush hour here. The clay burns your fingers. It dries fast. Your hands crack. You keep going. By midday, your back is drenched. Your knees ache. There is no shade unless you made your own. And no one made shade. That would have taken more work. You get a break. Not because someone says it's break time, but because someone faints. They're fine. Probably. But now everyone stops for a bit, pretends to check on them, and secretly enjoys the pause. You sit on a log. Your thighs itch from mosquito bites. Your mouth is dry. You've got dirt under every fingernail, and half your scalp is crusted in sweat and dust. You scratch, then stop scratching, because it makes it worse. Welcome to hygiene in the 11th century. Let's talk about bathing. You do it. Kind of. When there's time and water and no ceremonies requiring everyone to avoid the river, you wash with handfuls. There's no soap. Sometimes there's ash or crushed leaves, but mostly it's just splashing until you're less sticky. You smell better after, for about an hour. Then you smell like everyone else, warm, earthy, alive. The breeze picks up. It doesn't help much. Mostly, it just stirs the dust into your face and makes you blink until your eyes tear up. You spit once, taste dirt, and decide you're done pretending this is relaxing. Someone brings food, not for you specifically, for everyone. It's shared, but not equal. Those closest to the pot get more. You get what you can. A handful of nuts, a strip of dried meat, maybe a piece of roasted squash. It's enough. Barely. There's a baby nearby chewing on the handle of a digging stick. No one stops them. It's how they teethe. You did it too. You don't remember, but your teeth do. You go back to work. Hours pass. The sun crawls. A few clouds drift in. One of them looks like a bird. You point it out. No one cares. Later, the clouds darken. Thunder rumbles. And that's when the real fun begins. Rain. The path becomes slippery. The clay? A nightmare. Every step is a gamble. Will you slide? Will you fall face first into someone else's mud pile? Who knows? The gods are watching and they're feeling playful. You slip. Not hard, just enough to look stupid. Your cousin laughs. You swear under your breath, not in English. You don't speak English here, but whatever word you use, it's got bite. You trudge back to your shelter. Wet, tired, still itchy. Inside, it's dark. There are no windows, just a smoke hole in the roof and some animal hides covering the entrance. You light a torch. It smokes. A lot. You cough. Then breathe through your sleeve. Dinner's already cooking. It's corn mush. Again. You don't complain. You chew. Later, you lie on your mat. Your body is buzzing from fatigue. The fire crackles. Someone is telling a story, their voice soft, full of rhythm. A tale of a bird that became a man, or a woman who sang so sweetly the river followed her. You close your eyes. You think maybe you could sleep. Then a flea bites your ankle. You slap it. Miss Scratch. Sigh. This is your life now, and you haven't even made it to sunrise yet. You wake up again, sort of. It's still dark, but the birds have started yelling. Not singing. Yelling. If you've never been woken by a marsh bird shrieking from the rafters of your smoke-stained ceiling, congrats, your life has been soft. The dawn here doesn't so much arrive as it attacks. You sit up, shoulders stiff, hair glued to one side of your face with dried sweat. You try to rub your eyes, but you realize your hands are still kind of sticky from yesterday's clay. That's fine. That's just your new skin now. Part dirt, part you. The fire in the center of the hut is down to embers. Someone has stirred it, probably the elder who always wakes up before everyone else. You don't know if she sleeps. She might just sit there all night, judging people silently from the shadows. It's hard to tell. Either way, she's boiling water. You hope it's for tea. It won't be. It'll be for softening yesterday's leftover corn mush, so it's slightly more edible this time around. You don't speak. No one speaks. Not at first. You just sit in a sleepy circle around the hearth, blinking slowly, trading yawns like their currency. One of the younger kids picks their nose openly. No one stops them. Honestly, it's the only entertaining thing happening this morning. Then the drums start. Faint at first, off in the plaza. Not the fun, party time drums. These are slower, heavier, rhythmic, like a heartbeat, which means someone died or is being prepared to die. Could be a sacrifice, could be a funeral, could be both. You don't know. You're not important enough to be told. You slurp down your breakfast, which is once again a flavorless bowl of corn gruel. If you're lucky, someone added a pinch of smoked pepper. If you're unlucky, it's just ashes from last night's fire. Either way, it's warm, and warm counts for something. Then you're sent to gather thatch. Roof repair day. Again. There's always roof repair. Every storm takes a few pieces off. The village never truly finishes rebuilding, just circles through the same repairs forever. You know, like modern roadwork, but with more mosquitoes and fewer traffic cones. You grab a stone blade, worn down from use, and head into the reeds. They're taller than you. The ground is wet. There's a smell, too. Kind of like wet dog and old socks, but it's natural. You're used to it. Doesn't mean you like it. The reeds slice at your arms. They're sharp. No one tells you that in the stories. Reeds aren't soft and gentle. They're aggressive. And once you cut them, they flop awkwardly like defeated grass, and you have to bundle them together before they tangle themselves into a knot the size of your torso. You tie the bundle with a strip of hide, throw it over your shoulder, and head back. It weighs more than it looks. Everything here does. Even time. Back in the village, someone is weaving. Not for fun, for utility. Mats, baskets, roof panels. You join in because your thatch still needs processing. You sit cross-legged, begin twisting reeds, and immediately a bug crawls up your leg. You brush it off. Another one replaces it. They always do. Your fingers cramp. The strands snap if you pull too tight, slip loose if you don't pull enough. It's not glamorous. It's just repetition. You think about how your modern self would be checking your phone right now, looking at memes, watching cooking videos you'll never try. But there is no phone here, just hands and time. Hours pass. You tie the last knot. You stand, stretch your spine, and hear it pop in 3 places. You're 19. Your spine sounds like it's 70. You go back to your dwelling. Someone is smoking fish. It smells like heaven compared to everything else. You beg for a piece. You don't get one. You weren't part of that catch. You settle for a raw turnip, not even washed. You chew it like a sad little beaver and pretend it's refreshing. It's not. It's bitter. Your teeth hate it. You head toward the edge of town. There's a trader arriving, somebody from a river town further south. He's got beads, feathers, even a few copper trinkets. Real copper. That's the good stuff. You don't have anything worth trading, but you still loiter. You touch a shell necklace like you're thinking about buying it. You're not. You just want to remember what color looks like. A group of boys is wrestling near the mound base. One of them falls hard, scrapes his elbow. No one stops. He rolls over, laughs, bleeds a little, keeps going. You shake your head. You used to be like that. Now you're mature. You bruise slower, sulk longer. The day stretches out. Another elder calls for assistance. A basket of dried beans needs to be moved. You volunteer, mostly to get away from the wrestling noise. You lift the basket. It's heavier than you expected. You grunt. The elder nods approvingly. That's the closest thing to a compliment you'll get all week. Then it rains again. Sudden, loud, the kind of rain that comes sideways and soaks everything in seconds. You bolt for cover. You duck into the food shelter, basically a big elevated platform with a thatched roof and 0 walls. It blocks some rain. Not much. You huddle with 3 others, knees pulled to your chest, watching as the paths flood and the mounds begin to glisten. Someone sneezes. No one says, "Bless you." That hasn't been invented yet. You wait. The rain stops like someone flipped a switch. Steam rises off the dirt. The whole village smells like mushrooms now. You step outside, already wet, already resigned. You wipe your face with a damp sleeve and mutter whatever your culture's version of great is. Everyone nods. Everyone's over it. Evening rolls in slowly. The sky turns orange, then bruised purple. Fires are lit. You gather with your family, 4 generations in one room if you're lucky, 2 if you're not. Someone starts singing, not loud, not for performance, just habit, a kind of lullaby halfway between a chant and a memory. You hum along even though you don't know the words. You've heard them enough that they've soaked into your bones. Dinner is another round of corn. Ground, steamed, roasted, or mashed. It doesn't matter. You eat it anyway. You chew slowly, partly to stretch the portion, partly because chewing too fast means you're going to crack a molar on an unsoaked kernel. You lie down on your mat. Mosquitoes buzz again. You pull a smoky hide over your face and pretend it's fine. Pretend your nose isn't itching. Pretend your lower back doesn't feel like someone stuck a stone knife into it. Sleep doesn't come easy. It rarely does. Not here. Not when the fire pops like footsteps. Not when your neighbor snores like a dying goose. Not when someone's baby starts crying again. But you try, because you have to wake up tomorrow and do all of it again. You wake up to smoke, not fire, just the usual. The hearth smoldered too long, and now it's wrapping the inside of your shelter like a damp wool blanket. You blink through it, coughing a little, eyes already watering. Welcome to another morning in the pre-plumbing, pre-ventilation, pre-everything era. You're breathing centuries-old air. Literally. Your hair smells like campfire. So does your blanket. So does everything you own. Which isn't much. A few worn-out tools, a bundle of clothing you've patched more times than you can count, and a clay mug with a crack in the side that you swear wasn't there yesterday. That's your life. That, and a whole lot of responsibility. Someone outside is already chopping wood. You hear the rhythmic thunk of a stone axe hitting a log. It's not a nice sound. It's the sound of work. It means your turn is coming. You roll off your mat, slowly, because your knees feel like they've been personally cursed by the ancestors, and stretch your arms above your head. The ceiling's low, and your knuckles brush soot. You cough again, soot in your mouth now. You spit. Mistry again. Better. Today is wood day, or at least part of it. No one assigns tasks here the way your modern brain might expect. There's no clipboard, no app telling you your shift starts at 9 a.m. Work starts when work needs doing, which is always. You step outside and your foot lands in a puddle. Great. Your only pair of leggings, soaked again. You sigh out loud, and someone from the next shelter grins. Misery loves company. The air is thick with humidity. It's going to be a buggy day. You can already feel them, mosquitoes orbiting your arms like bored satellites. You swat once, miss again, miss you're basically a mobile buffet. Your cousin hands you a bundle of twine. You know what that means. Cordage weaving while you walk. You're going to gather firewood, and on the way, you're going to braid long strands of plant fiber into rope. Your fingers are already protesting. Too bad. No sick days here. The forest isn't far. Just past the eastern edge of the village, where the mounds thin out and the ground dips toward a shallow creek. You and two others head in with woven baskets slung across your backs. They bounce awkwardly. One strap is digging into your collarbone. You say nothing. Inside the trees, it's cooler, darker, more alive. The smell shifts from smoke and mud to moss and bark. You step over roots, duck under low branches, swat more bugs. Your friend behind you trips and curses. Everyone laughs, quietly. Laughter still has to share space with survival. You spot a fallen tree. Perfect. You crouch down and start stripping bark first. It'll dry faster. Then you cut, and cut, and cut, with a stone blade that's duller than your memory of free time. Your hands blister. You wrap them with scraps of hide. That helps. A little. Eventually, you've got a stack. You bundle it tight, hoist it over one shoulder, and start back. You're slower now. Heavier. Every step a calculated gamble not to twist your ankle. On the way back, you see something strange. Two deer standing perfectly still just beyond the clearing, watching. One flicks its ear. You freeze. For a second, you forget the weight on your shoulder, the sweat in your eyes. For a second, it's just you and them, breathing the same air. Then someone sneezes, and they bolt. Back at the village, a drumbeat starts again. Faster this time. Not ceremonial. Alert. Something's happened. You drop your load near the fire pit and jog toward the sound. A child's been bitten by a snake. You don't see the snake. You see the swelling. The frantic mother. The elders already grinding up roots and whispering to spirits they've spoken to since childhood. The child is sweating, shaking, breathing like they're trying to hold on to every second. You feel helpless. Most people do. This isn't a world of easy fixes. There's no anti-venom, no hospital wing with blinking machines. There's just what you've learned, what your ancestors learned, and the hope that nature feels generous today. You kneel beside them and hold their hand. You whisper something soft, something you don't even remember learning. The kind of words you only say when silence isn't enough. Later, after the worst of it passes, after the herbs seem to hold and the child's breathing evens out, you sit in the dirt and stare at the sky. The sun is burning a hole in the clouds, and you wonder if it's always been that angry. Dinner is quieter tonight. Everyone feels it. You chew slowly, mush again, this time with a little sassafras mixed in. Not bad. A trader passes through again, this one with obsidian blades. Shiny, sharp. You trade a day's labor for one. It feels like magic in your hand. You don't know how it was shaped or where exactly it came from, but you hold it like it means something, like a promise that not everything has to be hard forever. That night, you lie in your shelter, staring at the smoke hole. Stars twinkle faintly beyond it. You think about the deer, about the sick child, about the obsidian blade now hidden under your mat. You shift your weight. The mat creaks. A flea bites your thigh. You slap it. Hit it this time. That counts as a victory. Your eyes grow heavy. The fire crackles once, then settles. The world doesn't stop, but you get to, for now. You're awake again. Sort of. You don't open your eyes right away. You're hoping if you lie still long enough, the day might give up and start without you. But it doesn't. It never does. Eventually, someone pokes their head into the shelter and mumbles something that sounds like your name. You groan. Sit up. Your lower back protests immediately, like you slept on a pile of bricks, which technically isn't far from the truth. The fire's out. Someone forgot to keep feeding it. Probably you. The ashes are cold and the air smells like wet charcoal and regret. You throw your cloak over your shoulders and step outside. It's foggy this morning. Thick and low, curling around huts and clinging to the ground like it's got nowhere else to be. You shiver. It's not freezing, just damp in that way that makes your skin feel like it's made of sponge. Today is tool maintenance day. You didn't sign up for that. No one asked you. But the elder in charge of the tools gave you a look that said, "If you don't show up, I'll throw you into the compost pit and no one will help you out." You don't question her. She has no teeth and more authority than anyone you've ever met. You grab your kit, dull blades, snapped handles, a bit of cordage, and head to the workshop. It's more of a roof with some logs underneath it, but it counts. You sit on one of the logs, which immediately shifts under your weight and dumps you onto the ground. Great. That's your morning now, covered in mud before you've even sharpened a stick. You try again, this time testing the log before you sit. It holds. Victory. Tool sharpening is slow, repetitive, and deeply unsatisfying. You take your stone and rub it against the edge of a blade you carved weeks ago. It's chipped in 3 places, and the handle is loose. You adjust it. You test it. You adjust again. You wonder if modern people ever think about how much effort goes into making something as simple as a knife. You remember that they just buy new ones when the old ones stop working. You feel a little insulted on behalf of your ancestors. A friend joins you. She drops a bundle of fishing spears beside you and says something under her breath that sounds like, "I hate this job." You nod. You don't have to say anything. The look in your eyes is enough. You both sit in silence, sharpening tools, occasionally swatting bugs, occasionally sighing. Sometimes that's the best kind of conversation. Around midday, someone brings food. You're not excited. It's corn again. This time mixed with beans, which is slightly more exciting. but still the exact same texture you've been chewing since birth. You eat slowly. The mush sticks to your fingers. You wipe them on your tunic. You regret that immediately. Then comes the surprise. A messenger. Not dramatic. Just a tired teenager with a woven satchel and a half-wet tunic. He says there's word from the river town. There's been a flood, crops ruined, fish gone, people are hungry. You feel a small jolt of anxiety, not because it's your town, but because you trade with them. If they're out of food, you're going to be out of something soon too. Maybe squash, maybe salt, maybe peace of mind. The elders gather. They murmur. They frown. One of them starts drawing symbols in the dirt with a stick. You don't know what they mean, but the lines are angry. You're told to help with preparations. You nod. You don't know what that means yet. You just nod. That's half your job, pretending you know what's going on until someone tells you what to carry. Turns out you're building baskets. Again. You gather reeds. Again. You sit cross-legged again and begin weaving. Again. Each basket takes hours. The reeds crack. Your fingers bleed. You keep going. While you work, a kid nearby tries to impress his older brother by lifting a log twice his size. He fails. The log lands in the mud with a splat that soaks everyone within 5 feet. You're one of them. You wipe your face. You keep weaving. Later that evening, there's a gathering in the plaza. Not a ceremony, just people, talking, sharing. Someone starts drumming, but not for ritual, just for rhythm. A few people start dancing. No choreography, no costumes, just movement. You watch from the edge. You smile. It's the first time today your face has done that on purpose. Someone offers you a roasted grasshopper. You take it. You eat it. It's crunchy, kind of nutty. Honestly, not bad. You lie back on the packed dirt. The stars are just starting to show up. There are no streetlights here, no light pollution. The sky looks impossibly big. You feel small, but not in a bad way. You think about everything you did today, what you carried, what you made, what you felt, and you realize you survived another one. Barely. Back in your shelter, the fire is burning again. Someone else remembered this time. You nod at them. No words, just a nod. That's enough. You lie down on your mat, pull the hide over your shoulders, listen to the wind push against the thatch. A mosquito buzzes near your ear. You swat. Miss figures. You close your eyes anyway. You wake up to footsteps. Not loud ones. Just the soft, rhythmic kind of footsteps someone makes when they've lived long enough to know not to stomp around in a village made of packed dirt and sleeping people. You peek through your lashes. It's still dark, barely morning. But that doesn't matter here. Time isn't measured by alarms or glowing screens. It's measured by chores, by hunger, by smoke. You stretch. Everything cracks. You're not even old. You just feel like it. Your shoulder makes a sound like someone snapping a dry twig. That's your cue to get moving. Someone's already outside stoking the fire. You smell it before you see it. Wood smoke, wet ash, maybe a hint of roasted nut or pine resin if you're lucky. You step outside, and it hits you. The cool bite of early air against skin that's used to being overheated and itchy. It's actually kinda nice. Until you realize your breath is fogging in front of your face and you're barefoot on wet dirt. You hop back inside and throw on an extra wrap. It doesn't match anything, because matching hasn't been invented yet. Fashion here is based on function and whether or not the raccoons chewed through your last tunic. Outside, the village is waking up in pieces. A cough here, a wooden spoon clattering there, someone muttering while trying to light a fire with damp tinder and zero patience. A chicken screams for no reason. You don't have chickens, but someone nearby does, and it reminds you that chaos is universal. Breakfast is not exciting, but it exists. And in this world, that's a win. You're handed a small portion of yesterday's mash, heated, barely. You stir it around, pretending to be more interested than you are. You chew. You swallow. You try not to think about flavor. There isn't any. Then comes the announcement. The chief wants a group to go harvest wood near the far creek. That's a hike, a long one, through undergrowth, with bugs and thorns and probably snakes. Everyone collectively groans in their minds and nods with their heads. You grab your bundle, a stone axe, a hide sling, a gourd for water that's already lukewarm and slightly smoky from sitting near the fire all night. Delicious. You head out with a few others. You don't talk much. Words are expensive this early. Mostly it's the sound of crunching leaves, the occasional grunt when someone steps into a hole, and the quiet, universal sigh that happens when your foot slides into unexpected mud and now your entire shin is wet. You get to the grove. It's beautiful in a way, sunlight cutting through dense trees, little birds darting around like they've got secrets to keep. It would be peaceful if you weren't about to spend the next several hours attacking tree trunks with a rock. Chopping is not elegant. It's not satisfying like you see in movies. It's awkward, repetitive, painful. The axe bounces. Your hands go numb. You start to hate the sound of your own breathing. You and the others get into a rhythm. Chop, grunt, wipe sweat, swear, repeat. You stack wood into bundles. They're heavy. Of course they are. You tie them with cordage that's already fraying because everything is always fraying. You lift. Your spine weeps. Back in the village, there's a buzz of activity. Something's happening. Not urgent, just ceremonial. The plaza's being swept. That means visitors, or maybe a celebration. Either way, it's your job to prepare something. You're handed a basket and told to collect red clay from the riverbank for paint. You walk. Again. More walking. Always walking. The clay is wet and thick. It clings to your hands like guilt. You scoop it with a wooden tool that's more splinter than scoop and fill your basket. Half of it leaks out on the way back. You pretend it didn't. Now comes the part where you help mix the paint. It's not fun. It's grinding pigments with smooth stones, spitting into it, don't ask, and applying it carefully to bark panels that will be displayed for the dance. You've never been a painter. You're still not. The results are abstract. As the sun sinks lower, the plaza begins to fill. Drums start, low at first, then louder. The dancers arrive, painted, feathered, serious. The air changes. There's still smoke, still bugs, still the smell of roasting squash and sweat. But something in the rhythm pulls you in. People move in circles, feet stomping in unison. Dust kicks up. Someone's singing, high, haunting, not quite a melody, but something older than melody. You feel it in your ribs. You don't dance. Not yet. But you watch. And you understand why people remember nights like these. Someone hands you food. It's hot, roasted something. You don't ask what. You just eat it, grateful for warmth, for spice, for a break from the endless mush. After the celebration, you walk home slowly. Your feet ache. Your hands are still stained red from the clay. Your arms are tired. You're not sure if your spine is still a spine or just a suggestion. You crawl into your shelter, wrap yourself in your cloak, and lie still. Outside, someone coughs, someone laughs, a baby cries. You close your eyes anyway. Another day survived, barely, and you'll do it again tomorrow. You open your eyes before the sun rises, not because you want to, but because something bit your neck in your sleep. You slap it, hard. It's gone. You're not even mad anymore. You're just accepting. It's like paying taxes, but with your blood. That's the deal. The fire in your shelter is almost dead. Just embers now, pulsing gently under a thin layer of ash. You stare at them for a second, wondering if you have the energy to bring it back to life, or if you should just pretend it never existed and hope someone else cares more than you do. Then you remember, you're the one on morning fire duty. Of course. You grab a stick and start poking around for dry scraps. The smoke kicks up immediately and goes right for your face. Always your face. You cough, mutter something that means great, but in a tone that means, I hate this, and feed the flames until they decide to cooperate. Someone outside sneezes. Another person immediately yells about getting up before the sun makes you soft. You hate them a little bit. You wrap your cloak tighter and pretend you didn't hear. Today's a special day. Not holiday special. Just something different is going to hurt special. You've been chosen to help with wall maintenance on one of the larger mounds. That sounds fancy. It's not. It means climbing a dirt slope carrying buckets of sod, clay, and hope. You chew a small handful of roasted acorns while walking, not because they taste good, they don't, but because they keep your stomach from collapsing into itself. You bite down on one and feel a crunch that definitely wasn't the shell. You stop. You wiggle your tooth. It's fine. Probably. You get to the base of the mound. It's steep. Real steep. The sun isn't even up yet, and you're already sweating. You tie your hair back, grab your basket, and start climbing. The dirt is loose in places. Your foot slips once. You catch yourself. Barely. The guy behind you doesn't say anything, but you can hear his smirk. At the top, the view is, okay, it's kind of great. You can see the whole village. The river curling off in the distance, little puffs of smoke rising from the morning fires, birds circling over the fields. You breathe in. You cough. It's the smoke again. You drop your basket with the others. Someone barks orders. You start patching the mound wall with fresh clay, smoothing it with your hands, trying not to fall off the edge. Your legs are shaking. Not from fear, from fatigue. You haven't even had real breakfast yet. The work goes on for hours. You lose track of time. Your arms are sore. Your knees are scraped. Your brain is playing the same 3 songs it always plays when you're stuck doing repetitive labor. One of them is just drums. Literal drums. Eventually, you stop for food. This time you get lucky. Someone brought roasted pumpkin. It's warm, a little smoky, and shockingly sweet. You savor it like it's cake. You don't know what cake is, but if you did, this would still win. After lunch, you get reassigned. Someone's ox died, and the carcass needs hauling. You didn't know anyone had an ox. Turns out they did. Now they don't. You get roped into helping move the body out of the communal path. It's big, it's heavy, it smells like meat and inevitability. You tie ropes around the legs and start dragging. It takes 4 of you, maybe 5. You try not to look at the eyes. They're still open. You pretend they're not. Later, The elders will burn the remains. You won't be invited to that part. You're just labor, but you'll still smell it. For days. You rinse your hands in the creek after. The water's cold. Clean enough. You splash your face. It feels like waking up again. You stay crouched there for a moment, just breathing, watching a dragonfly skip across the surface like it owns the place. You don't see another person for a full 5 minutes. That's a record. When you return, it's quieter. People are tired. Fires are low. The children are too hungry to be annoying. You trade some leftover herbs for a small piece of smoked fish. You eat it too fast and regret nothing. The sun dips low. The clouds turn gold. Someone starts humming. You lie on your back in the dirt, staring at the sky, and let yourself pretend it's comfortable. A few people gather for evening stories. One of the elders starts telling a tale about a turtle that carried the world on its back. It sounds ridiculous, but it's familiar. The rhythm of her voice, the way the firelight flickers against her face, it feels like something older than memory. You lean against your pack and close your eyes just for a second. When you open them again, the fire's down to coals, and someone's throwing another hide over your shoulders. You nod without speaking. Your body aches in 17 places. You don't care. You crawl back to your mat, curl up, breathe in the now faint smell of roasted pumpkin, and forget, just for a moment, about your chipped tooth, your cracked heels, your smoke-filled lungs. Sleep comes slower tonight. But it comes. It always does. Eventually. You wake up to rain. Not the gentle kind. Not the poetic mist you'd find in a modern romance movie. No, this is the relentless, sideways kind. The kind that finds cracks in the walls you didn't know existed. The kind that turns your clay floor into pudding and your roof into a sieve. You sit up slowly, water dripping off your cloak. It's not even sunrise, but you can see well enough through the hole in the roof where the thatch has worn thin. Great. Another thing for the to-do list. Right after don't starve and don't drown. You shuffle toward the fire pit. The embers are damp and sullen. You try blowing on them. Nothing. You toss in some twigs. Still nothing. You dig around for dry bark, which doesn't exist because everything is wet, including you, including your soul. Eventually, a small flame flickers to life. You cup your hands around it like it's sacred, which, to be fair, it kind of is, and start boiling a bit of water. You throw in a pinch of dried root. It doesn't taste like much, but it's warm, and you count that as a small miracle. Outside, the paths are mud rivers. The kids are splashing in them. That's fine. They don't have anywhere to be. You, on the other hand, have been drafted into helping with drainage today, which sounds fake, but isn't. There's a trench that needs clearing. It's been collecting water like it's trying to start a new river. You grab a shovel, more like a curved stick with dreams, and slosh through the mire toward the edge of the plaza. The water is halfway up your calves. There's something floating in it. You don't look too closely. You start digging, scooping out handfuls of mud, trying to make a channel wide enough to divert the flood. Every time you make progress, more water pours in. You curse under your breath. The mud doesn't care. Around you, others are doing the same. It's a silent, muddy choreography of futility, but together, slowly, you manage to carve out enough of a trench that the water begins to move. Not quickly, not confidently, but enough. You sit back, soaked, covered in sludge, and watch the water trickle away like it's running off to tell someone else its problems. Back in the village, You change. Sort of. You peel off your outer wrap and hang it near the fire. It'll dry by next season. You wring out your tunic. It drips for 5 minutes straight. Lunch is hot today. That's the reward. A thick stew made from squash, beans, and a tiny bit of meat, possum probably. You don't ask. You chew slowly, savoring each bite like it's the last thing you'll ever taste. It might be. Then comes weaving. You forgot about weaving. You're helping make mats for the communal house, a huge structure near the plaza where meetings, ceremonies, and sometimes just loud conversations happen. The mats go along the walls and on the floor. They're supposed to make things more comfortable, which is adorable. You sit for hours, legs crossed, weaving reeds into tight, flat panels. The work is simple, repetitive. You find a rhythm. In, over, pull, in, over, pull. It's like meditation, but with cramps. Someone next to you hums a tune you remember from childhood. You hum along. Not because you like it, but because it keeps your fingers from falling asleep. Eventually, the sky clears. The sun burns through the clouds and starts steaming the village like it's a giant soup pot. Your clothes go from soaked to sticky in 5 minutes. Welcome to late afternoon. You carry the finished mats to the communal house. It smells like old smoke and damp feet. You stack your work against the wall and nod at the elder in charge. She nods back. That's your praise for the day. You treasure it. Before evening, you're sent to help at the granary. It's raised up on poles to keep the rats out, but they still try. You're on rat check duty. It's exactly what it sounds like. You climb the ladder, push aside the woven door, peer into the dark interior. No rats, just a few bugs, and one terrified bird that panics and flies straight into your face. You scream. The bird screams. You both survive. Dinner is simple. Corn cakes, slightly burned. You eat 5. You don't care. Later, you gather with a few others near the fire. Someone is telling a story about the time the river flooded and dragged off half a canoe. It somehow ends with a bear, a basket of fish, and someone's missing shoe. Everyone laughs. You laugh too. You lie on your back, staring at the sky. It's clear now. Crisp stars spread from horizon to horizon, sharp enough to cut. You don't miss modern life. Not exactly. But you do think about socks, and chairs, and hot showers. Back in your shelter, you curl up under your cloak. The mat feels less terrible tonight. Maybe it's the fatigue. Maybe it's the possum stew still working its way through your system. You scratch a bug bite on your ankle. You close your eyes. You made it through another day. Just barely, but still. You wake up not because of a sound, but because of a smell. Something off. Not bad exactly, but unfamiliar. Your brain, still half in a dream about chasing deer through an endless cornfield, decides it might be smoke, or mold, or fish, or maybe someone stepped on a toad again. Whatever it is, it's strong enough to yank you out of sleep, and now you're here, awake, in the dark, with a sore neck and a blanket made from something that still smells like the animal it used to be. You sit up slowly, trying not to wake the others. You fail. Someone grunts. Someone else mutters and rolls over. You hear the scratch of a rat somewhere in the corner, probably making itself at home in the basket of dried beans someone forgot to hang last night. You rub your face. Your eyes feel like they've been sanded. Your back is one giant complaint. And today is market day. That should sound fun. It's not. Market day means you're walking. A lot. Carrying things. A lot. And if you're lucky, someone won't scream at you for trading the wrong kind of shell beads. You gather your trade goods, a woven basket, a small clay bowl you spent 3 days shaping and painting, and a bundle of dried herbs. You add a few feathers to make it look like you're bringing something more impressive than you are. Everyone does this. It's tradition. The market is just outside the main plaza. Dozens of vendors, traders, and families line up in makeshift rows, laying out goods on reed mats, shouting over each other in a mix of dialects you half understand. One guy always has salt, another brings copper scraps, a third is trying to sell hollowed gourds that look suspiciously like the ones you saw floating in the river last week. You find a spot, spread out your wares, sit cross-legged, wait. Nobody comes. Eventually, a woman squats in front of your mat and picks up your bowl. She squints at it, taps the rim with her fingernail, frowns. You smile, even though you want to crawl into the nearest thatch pile and disappear. She grunts, offers a single bone needle in trade. You stare at her. A needle. For 3 days of work. You accept it. Because what are you going to do? Say no? You need the needle. Your last one snapped when your cousin tried to use it to spear a grub. That's market day. A parade of small compromises. Later, someone steals a gourd. You see it. You say nothing. Everyone else sees it too. No one moves. Eventually, the seller notices, yells, and throws a pebble at the wrong person. An argument breaks out. You back away slowly. You trade your herbs for a bit of dried venison. It's tough, probably old. You eat it anyway. Your jaw hates you for it. You chew until your teeth buzz. Back in the village, a child has climbed halfway up one of the smaller mounds and refuses to come down. His mother is yelling. He's yelling back. You sit nearby, pretending not to watch, fully invested. Eventually, he falls. Not far. Lands in a bush. Starts crying. His mother hauls him up by the wrist and drags him off, still mid-sob. You chew your venison and wonder why that felt like the highlight of your morning. You're called to the dye pit next. Time to help soak fiber for clothing. The pit is shallow, filled with water, bark, and a mash of plants that stains everything it touches. You spend the next 2 hours dipping bundles of thread into the brew, wringing them out, and laying them on racks to dry. Your hands turn blue, or maybe purple. It's hard to tell under the grime. Someone next to you sneezes and gets a face full of dye. You laugh. They do not. Then it's bath time. Not spa bath, not soak and relax bath. Community river bath. You strip down to your underwrap, walk to the muddy bank, and dunk yourself in water that's colder than your worst memories. You scrub with a chunk of rough bark and hope it doesn't tear your skin. Someone upstream is washing a blanket. Someone downstream is letting their dog wade in. You try not to think about it. You dunk again. Your scalp feels cleaner, which is good, because it's also now crawling with tiny bugs trying to escape the flood. You dry off in the sun. It takes forever. You get sunburned in exactly one spot. Your left shoulder. Just that. The rest of you is fine. You now look like you lost a fight with a confused firefly. Evening comes. You're invited to help with a meal, not because you're good at it, but because you're standing nearby and look vaguely responsible. The stew is already bubbling. You stir it with a stick longer than your arm, trying not to spill. Someone hands you dried berries. You add them. Someone else dumps in 3 hot peppers without warning. Now it's a surprise. You eat together. You don't talk much. The food is decent. It burns your mouth. You pretend it doesn't. Night falls. Someone plays a flute. It's off-key. No one minds. You lie in the dirt, arms behind your head, staring at the stars, feeling the ground press back against your spine. You think about the needle, about the dye, about the stew, and you realize something. You made it through another market day. No one stole your basket. Your teeth are still in your head, and the stars haven't fallen yet. So you sleep, because there's more tomorrow, and you already know you wouldn't last a day. But somehow, here you are, still going. You wake up to a dull ache in your jaw. At first you think maybe it's from grinding your teeth in your sleep. Then you remember the dried venison, the one from market day, the one you chewed like it was leather, because it basically was. You rub your face, stretch your jaw, and try to yawn. It doesn't go well. The air inside the shelter is cool, damp, and smells like smoke, damp hide, and something vaguely sweet. You hope it's crushed berries. You're also aware it could be mold, or that weird root you stepped on yesterday and forgot to clean off your shoes. Outside, there's light. Not bright light. Not sunny Instagram morning light. Just the hazy, soft kind that means the sun is trying, but the clouds are winning. You shuffle out, blanket over your shoulders, looking like a burrito of exhaustion and mild irritation. Today is field day. Not the fun kind. No three-legged races or egg tosses. It's agricultural labor. Corn, beans, squash. The three sisters. The only sisters you've seen more of than your own. You head out to the planting fields just outside the mound ring. You walk barefoot because your footwear gave up on life last week, and you haven't bothered to make new ones yet. The path is rough. Your feet complain. You ignore them. The fields are full of people already, bending, digging, dropping seeds, covering them, moving to the next row, and again, and again. It's like being stuck in a loop you didn't sign up for. You take your digging stick and start working. The soil's not bad today. Damp, soft. You loosen a row, toss in a few seeds, cover them, pat the dirt, move on. You do this for hours. You stop noticing your back after a while. It just becomes part of the background pain, along with your knees and your shoulders and the tiny muscle in your neck that always tightens when you're dehydrated and stressed, which is always. Someone calls for a water break. You share a gourd filled with lukewarm creek water, flavored with yesterday's smoke and whatever the gourd was used for last week. You drink anyway. Lunch, corn cakes, with maybe half a dried berry mashed into one of them. You try to find it, you don't, but the hope kept you going. You're told to help restack a collapsed storage basket near the edge of the village. It's full of dried squash rinds and old bean pods. You lift one side and immediately drop it again. It's heavier than it looks. Everything here is heavier than it looks. Even time. A little later, you're roped into helping repair a fence. Not for animals, for people. Not everyone's welcome here. There are rules. Visitors, rivals, even old feuds that no one remembers the origin of, but still require a physical reminder that this is ours. You lash logs together with wet cordage that keeps snapping. Someone behind you keeps swearing quietly every time it happens. You join in. It's therapeutic. Later, you help carve out a new canoe. The village is expanding trade routes, and they need one more boat. You take a thick log, fire hollow the center, then scrape and sand it smooth using stone tools. It takes forever. It's hot. Your hands cramp. Smoke gets in your eyes. You blink tears into the wood. You're handed a bowl of mashed nuts and berries as a reward. You eat it too fast and bite your cheek. Blood. Again. By evening, you're dragging your feet, literally. You sit by the fire with a few others. No one talks. Someone is whittling a flute. Someone else is trying to start a song but forgets the words halfway through. You all laugh softly. The night is warm. The bugs are louder than usual. One lands on your neck and you slap it without flinching. Reflex. You lie back, arms behind your head, watching smoke from the fire blend into the sky. You think of the canoe, the seeds, the fence, the pain in your jaw. You smile, just a little, because you made it again, barely. Tomorrow there'll be new problems, new aches, new bugs. But tonight you sleep. Because even the strongest need a break. And you're not even close to the strongest. You're just someone surviving, one corn cake at a time. You wake up groggy and sore, again. That's the baseline now. Sore, tired, and still somehow expected to be productive. You swing your legs off the mat, planting your bare feet into the dusty clay floor. It's warm, warmer than it should be. Summer's sneaking in early, and the air already feels like you're breathing through someone else's sweat. You stand. Everything hurts. Your back, your calves, your thumbs for some reason. One of your big toes feels like it's been replaced with stone. You take a breath, step outside, and immediately squint. It's bright, too bright. The sun is a bully today. You grab your wrap, shield your face, and shuffle toward the central fire pit where someone's boiling water for the morning drink. Not tea, not coffee, just herbs soaked in creek water. It smells like mint and regret. You sip it slowly, watching smoke rise from the hearth like it's trying to escape this place too. Today is pottery repair day. You pretend to be excited. You're not. The storage jars cracked again, the big ones lined with river clay and meant to hold grain, beans, dried meat. You're not sure how they cracked. Maybe the ground shifted. Maybe the rats got bold. Maybe time just wore them down like it's wearing you down. You sit in the shade, cross-legged, with a cracked jar in front of you and a basket of pine pitch and crushed shell beside you. This is the glue. Sort of. More like hope in paste form. You mix it slowly, smear it into the cracks, and bind the pot with twine to hold it while it dries. You repeat the process 10 times. Your hands become coated in a sticky film that will not come off, no matter how hard you scrub later. You'll smell like tree sap for 3 days. You accept this. After pottery, you help carry food from the storage shelters to the communal house. There's a meeting today. Not that you're part of it. You're just the delivery system. You haul a basket of dried squash slices up the mound path. It's heavier than you remember. Maybe your arms are weaker. Maybe the squash is denser. Maybe the world is just laughing at you again. Inside the communal house, it's dark and cooler. The walls are thick. Smoke curls toward the ceiling where it tries to escape through a hole that was never quite wide enough. The elders are already there, seated in a circle. Their voices are low, steady, deliberate. You set the basket down silently. Bow your head slightly. Leave without a word. Back outside, you're pulled into a game of chunky. This is the one part of the day that feels close to fun. A stone disc gets rolled across the packed earth, and you throw spears at where you think it will stop. There's no prize, just pride. You're not good at it. You try anyway. Your first throw lands 2 feet short. Your second bounces off a root and veers sideways into someone's foot. He glares. You apologize. He says nothing. Later, you're helping repair fish traps by the riverbank. The water level's higher than it should be. Something upstream shifted. The reeds are thicker too. Mosquito heaven. You wade in knee-deep, tying bundles of cane together into long funnels. You anchor them with stones. Your hands are raw by the time you're done. The backs of your legs are a feast for biting insects. You haul yourself out of the water, soaked, shivering slightly despite the heat. You smell like mud and fish guts. It's not charming. You skip lunch because you're not hungry, or because you're too tired to chew. You're not sure which. Instead, you sit under a tree, alone, watching the village shift and shuffle around you. People trading, arguing, hauling, laughing, surviving. You pick at the pitch still stuck to your fingers. It peels off and curls. Someone passes by with a woven tray of honeycomb and offers you a piece. You take it. It sticks to your teeth and gums in a way that's both annoying and amazing. By evening, the air feels heavier, like something is building. You notice more people glancing at the sky. Storm's coming. Everyone starts preparing, bringing tools inside, covering the fire pits, reinforcing roof thatch. You help anchor a neighbor's shelter with logs. The wind is already picking up, rattling leaves and making the reeds sway like dancers with terrible balance. The first crack of thunder hits just as the last shelter is secured. You duck into your own. Wrap your cloak tight. Brace. The storm howls. Rain slams down like it's angry at the earth. The wind pushes sideways. Your roof leaks in 3 places. You place baskets underneath. They fill in minutes. You sit near the fire, rocking slightly, half listening to the storm and half praying it doesn't rip your roof off and carry you into the river. Eventually the rain softens. The wind quiets. You lie back on your mat, staring up through the smoke hole at the gray sky, still lit with flickers of lightning in the distance. You're too tired to feel grateful, too damp to feel comfortable. But you're still here, still breathing, still surviving somehow. And the bowl didn't break this time. You close your eyes. You'll fix the roof tomorrow. The storm is gone by morning, but it didn't leave quietly. You wake up to the sound of dripping, slow, inconsistent, and perfectly timed to drive you slightly insane. One of the baskets you set under the leaky roof has overflowed. Your mat is damp. Your tunic is wetter than it was when you wrung it out last night. You wriggle your toes, and they squish. You don't scream. You sigh, which here is the same thing. You sit up. Your neck cracks again. You've accepted that as part of the deal. Outside, the sky is bruised but clearing. Everything smells like wet grass, ash, and something floral. You can't place it. It's probably rotting. Someone's already shouting. A roof collapsed on the far side of the village. No one was hurt, but someone's bedding got ruined, which in this world is basically a national crisis. You pull on your wet cloak and step outside. The air is thick and quiet, like the world is holding its breath after yelling too hard. Your feet stick slightly to the mud with every step, like it's trying to keep you here a little longer. Breakfast is late. Everything's damp. The firewood barely lights. You chew a cold corn cake and pretend it's enough. It's not. Today, you've been asked to help with a burial. You weren't close to the person. Most people weren't. But they lived here, and now they don't. So, as is custom, the whole community shows up. That's how this works. You're born into the crowd, and you leave with one. The burial mound is west of the main plaza. Not one of the big ones. Smaller, older, covered in grass now, with paths worn into the sides from years of use. You help carry a bundle wrapped in woven fiber and decorated with bone beads. You don't ask questions. You don't look inside. That's not your role. The elders sing, low and slow, not pretty exactly, but steady. You feel it in your ribs. Someone lights a smudge bowl. The smoke carries sweetgrass and cedar into the air, and suddenly the entire mound smells like memory. You lower the bundle. Step back. Let the others do what they've done so many times before. After, there's silence. Just a little. Enough to remind you that life doesn't stop. It only hesitates. Then it's back to work. You're told to help sort a pile of broken tools, axes, scrapers, fishing hooks, all worn past use. You sit cross-legged in the dirt and begin separating what can be repaired from what has to be turned into something else entirely. The sun is back now, full strength. The mud begins to bake into the soles of your feet. You ignore it. A kid trips and spills a basket of charcoal across the path. You help him gather it, even though your hands are already filthy and the soot makes you look like you lost a fight with the fire pit. Someone laughs, not at you, just because. You're not sure why. You laugh too. Later you haul clay from the riverbank. It's part of a new storage hut being built near the eastern mound. The clay is thick, sticky. You step wrong once and lose your footing. You sink almost to your knee. You pull yourself out with a loud squelch and immediately fall again. No one helps. But no one mocks you either. Everyone's done it. You're now officially part of the clay club. Congratulations. You wash in the creek. Again. The water's cooler than you expect. You rinse your arms, scrub your legs, try to rub the dirt from under your nails with a flat stone. It mostly works. Back at the worksite, the new hut is taking shape. You pass bundles of river cane to the builders, who lash them to the frame with practiced speed. You admire it. Not because it's fancy, but because it's working. Later, someone brings food. Not a meal. Just a handful of dried cranberries and a sliver of meat that might be squirrel. You eat it slowly. Each bite feels like it costs something. The sun drifts lower. The shadows stretch. You help patch the side of a shelter that took wind damage during the storm. It's not your shelter. Doesn't matter. You stitch grass bundles together and wedge them under the roof beam, ignoring the way your fingers start to cramp. Someone brings you water. You drink half, then dump the rest on your face. You sit down. Finally. Your legs twitch from exhaustion. Your back feels like it belongs to someone much older. You lean against the nearest wall and stare at the sky, now streaked with purple and orange, like someone spilled dye across it. A child runs past, screaming something unintelligible. Another chases after. You smile. The energy of children is illegal in this heat. A woman nearby hums while weaving a net. The rhythm calms you. Eventually, you head back to your shelter. Your mat is still damp. You lie on it anyway. Your cloak smells like smoke and mildew. You pull it over your face. You listen to the village settle. Coughs, laughter, crackling fire. Your muscles ache. Your eyes blur. You made it. Another day. You didn't collapse. Didn't get bitten. Much. Didn't cry. Much. And your roof is still mostly attached. You're winning. Barely. And tomorrow, you'll do it all again. You wake up not to noise, but to silence, which is worse. You lie there for a moment, trying to figure out what's missing. No fire crackling, no footsteps, no one yelling about something broken or forgotten or on fire. Just quiet. You sit up, blinking through the gloom. The shelter feels unusually still. Dust motes float in the sunlight, sneaking through the smoke hole. The air tastes thick and warm. You smell old ash, damp fiber, and something sweet. Maybe resin, maybe fermentation, maybe decay. You stop guessing. You step outside and the village is hushed, but not asleep. People are awake, just moving slower, softer. You spot two women kneeling beside a hearth, grinding corn with smooth stones, their movements rhythmic, hypnotic. A dog scratches itself lazily next to a basket of dried leaves. Someone nearby is braiding their hair with a look of total focus, like if they get one more knot, they'll snap. You stretch. Every part of your body complains, loudly. You're sore in places that shouldn't be sore, unless you were attacked in your sleep by invisible spirits wielding sticks. Possible, honestly. You wander toward the plaza. There's smoke in the air, but the kind that signals cooking, not disaster. That's a win. You pass the granary. The doors open. A few people are shuffling dried squash skins and checking for mold. You catch the eye of one of them. He gestures for help. You sigh. You help. You climb up into the raised platform. Inside, it smells like dust, seeds, and disappointment. You kneel and begin scooping handfuls of squash rinds into a fresh basket, sorting the brittle from the usable. Your nose itches. You sneeze. Everything shifts. Dust cloud. You cough for a full minute and no one even looks over. That's how normal it is. After you finish, you help reseal the food bundles with woven mats and clay paste. Your hands get sticky again. You've accepted that your hands may never feel clean again. They just have new textures now. Damp, cracked, occasionally splintered. Outside, the sun is climbing. You're assigned to water duty, which is exactly what it sounds like. You haul a gourd container down to the creek, dip it into the murky water, lug it back, repeat. You do this 6 times. On the 7th, your foot slips and the gourd tips. Water everywhere. Someone sees it. They don't say anything. They just give you a look. You give them one back. Mutual judgment. Ancient art. Lunch is early today, which is suspicious. Turns out, someone found mushrooms. Not the fun kind. The edible kind. The kind that grow on old logs and get boiled with beans until they taste like whatever you tell yourself they taste like. You chew carefully. Mushrooms here are a gamble. Always. You chew slower. Still alive. Good sign. Then you're asked to help with child watch. That's what they call it. It sounds casual. It's not. You and 2 others are assigned to monitor a cluster of kids near the southern path. They're supposed to be gathering sticks and reeds. They are not. They're throwing mud at each other and pretending the smallest one is a bird. You step in. You scold. They ignore you. You redirect. You bribe with honeycrumbs. One listens. The rest scatter like wind-blown thatch. Eventually, they return with exactly 4 usable reeds and several confused bugs. You call it a success. You return to the plaza in time for repairs. One of the grain bins cracked. Again. You help reline the inner wall with fresh clay and split bark. The clay is too dry. You add water. Too much. Now it's soup. You fix it. Barely. Someone nearby starts humming. The same 3-note tune they always hum. You don't know the words. No one does. But it sticks in your head like a burr. Afternoon slides by. You help mend a fishing net. You're not good at it. You knot the cord too tight and snap it. Twice. The elder in charge makes a noise like someone stepping on a frog and takes it from you without a word. You're reassigned to watch a drying rack full of fish. Just watch it. It's already half smoked. Your job is to chase off birds, which means you sit in the sun, stare at fish, and wave your arms every 10 minutes like you're trying to signal a passing ship that doesn't exist yet. You swat 3 birds. One ignores you completely and poops on the log next to you. You decide that counts as a loss. Dinner comes around slow. Someone brings out a stew that's mostly broth and memory. You drink it. It warms your stomach, but not your soul. That's fine. You gave up on soul-warming meals around day 4. You sit near the fire with a few others. No one speaks, just the quiet crackling of flames and the soft, endless sound of insects living their best lives. You lie back on a mat someone spread out. Look up. The stars are already flickering. The moon is hanging crooked, like it's leaning in to listen. You breathe, in, out. Your ribs hurt. Your wrists sting. You're dirty. Again, you're exhausted. Always. But you're still here. And the fish didn't get stolen. So you call it a win. You close your eyes. Because tomorrow's waiting. And you'll need all the sarcasm you can muster. You wake up flat on your back, staring at the rafters. You don't remember how you fell asleep. 1 minute, you were listening to someone hum a lullaby made of maybe 4 notes. The next minute, you were out cold, like someone unplugged your brain and walked away. You try to move your neck. It cracks. Then your hip cracks. You sit up, slowly, like someone whose joints have given up on optimism. It's still dark. Not midnight dark, but the early gray when the world isn't sure if it wants to wake up or not. You slip outside without making a sound. The village is quiet, just a few thin tendrils of smoke curling from sleeping fires. The air smells like dew, earth, and wood ash. You take a deep breath and immediately choke on the morning chill. You wipe your nose on your sleeve. Elegant. Today's task? Pest control. Don't get excited. This isn't a heroic quest. This is chase rats out of the granary day, which means crouching in the shadows with a stick, poking at squeaky corners, and praying you don't get bit. You and 2 others head toward the raised storage shelters with half-burned torches and a sack for what you catch. You bang on the sides. Something scurries inside. You peer in. It's rats. Of course it's rats. You yell. One jumps out. You flail. Miss it. Vanishes into a brush pile. The other 2 you actually manage to trap in a basket. You flip it over, sit on it, and pretend that counts as problem solved. You help patch the corner with a fresh mud seal, sprinkle crushed mint leaves around the base, and leave a line of hot ash as a hopeful deterrent. It probably won't work, but now it looks like you tried. Breakfast is late again. Someone hands you a chunk of mashed root pressed into a cake shape and grilled on a flat rock. It's bland but warm. You chew. Slowly. The middle is still cold. You chew anyway. Then, gathering day. Again. You're told to collect willow bark. Good for cordage, good for medicine, bad for fun. You hike out past the far path, into the shadowy stretch of trees along the river's curve. The ground squelches with every step. Bugs buzz in your ears. A spider web hits your face. You keep walking. You find the tree. Strip long ribbons of bark with a dull blade. Your hands cramp. Your fingers bleed. You wrap the strips into a coil and sling it over your shoulder. Then a wasp stings you. You yell something ancient and unprintable. The wasp ignores your pain and flies away like it's late for a meeting. You head back to the village, swearing under your breath and trying not to scratch your arm. Someone offers to help with a poultice. It smells like death and burns like betrayal. You thank them anyway. It's better than nothing. Later, someone asks for help with a canoe. You sigh. You smile. You go. You spend the next 2 hours sanding the inside of a half-finished dugout canoe. The heat rises. Your back bends. Your hands go numb from repetition. You think about floating away on this canoe and never returning. Then you remember you don't know how to swim. Also, no snacks. You keep sanding. Lunch is dried meat and some kind of boiled greens. The meat is chewy. The greens are bitter. Together, they taste like an apology. You eat it all. Afternoon, you're sent to repair the path near the northern edge of the village. Too much foot traffic. Too many ruts. Too much erosion from the last storm. You gather flat stones, set them into the earth, stamp them down with your heels. Your legs throb, your feet swell. A child walks over your fresh work before it dries. You say nothing, just stare into the distance and breathe through your teeth. Evening comes. There's music. Kind of. Someone's making sound with a gourd rattle. Another person joins in with a flute. The tune is broken, irregular, kind of beautiful. People gather around the fire. One person tells a story about the time a bear wandered into the village and fell asleep next to the fish rack. Everyone laughs. You laugh. Then you remember it actually happened, and no one really knew what to do. The bear left on its own. You lie down on the mat. Your body hurts in places you can't name. Your arms itch from willow bark dust. Your ankle is swollen from stepping in a hole. Your stomach is half full. Your fingers still smell like tree sap. And somehow you feel fine. Not good, not rested, but still here, still in one piece. You're learning, which is just a nice way of saying you're breaking slowly, but with better posture. Tomorrow will come. You'll wake up. You'll groan. You'll find new things to carry, new fires to tend, new bites to scratch. And no one will ask if you're okay. Because no one's okay. They're just surviving, like you. One muddy, aching day at a time. You close your eyes. The fire pops. And the silence, once again, begins to hum. You wake up to heat. Not sunlight. Not warmth. Heat. It's not even fully light outside, and the air is already pressing down on your chest like a wet animal. You kick off your fur wrap and instantly regret it. The floor is damp. Your toes squish into something that might be old thatch or might be a bug. You don't look. You don't want to know. You sit up slowly, sweat already beginning to collect along your spine. The fire's out. Not surprising. No one wanted to stoke it through that humid night. Your mouth tastes like clay dust in sleep. You swallow twice, get up, and duck your head out the doorway. Outside, it's miserable. Hot, thick air, still. Not a breeze anywhere. Even the bugs are sluggish. You think that's a good thing, but one lands on your neck anyway and proves you wrong. There's no fire going in the communal pit yet, which means no mush. You chew on a dried fruit leather someone handed you yesterday. It's sticky, sour, and probably fermented. You eat the whole thing in 3 bites and wipe your fingers on your wrap. Today, you've been told to help in the north fields. The squash vines are getting tangled, and the beans are trying to escape. Your job is to pull weeds, carefully, without stepping on anything valuable. You walk slow, conserving your strength. The path is cracked and dry where the mud baked after the last storm. You step over 2 sleeping dogs, nod at an elder sitting cross-legged chewing something bitter, and reach the edge of the planted rows. It's already buzzing with quiet movement. People on their knees, bent double, talking softly, hands moving fast. You join them. You find a spot between 2 rows of corn that have grown too tall too fast and are starting to bend under their own weight. You reach down, fingers in the dirt, and begin pulling the weeds. It's not glamorous. It's not satisfying. It's just hot and itchy and slow. The sun climbs. Your back turns into a puddle. Your neck gets red. Your knees go numb. You find a snake skin in the dirt and freeze, then realize it's old. No snake. Not today. You keep pulling. By midday, you smell like the earth. Not in a poetic way. In the please don't sit next to me way. You're handed a gourd of water. It tastes like moss. You chug it anyway. You're handed a second. You save it. You've learned. Lunch is shared under a low awning made of branches and bark. Shade, sort of. It cuts the heat by maybe 2 degrees. You chew your portion of corn mush and mashed beans slowly, eyes closed, pretending you're somewhere else. Anywhere else. A place with cold wind and no mosquitoes. Someone falls asleep sitting up. No one wakes them. Then you're off again, this time to help transport firewood from the southern edge of the village. It's not for cooking, it's for the sweat lodge. Someone's preparing for a purification ceremony. You lift 3 long branches and balance them across your back like a yoke. The bark scrapes your neck. You walk slow, feet dragging. You pass the canoe rack, where one is being repaired with fresh pitch, and nod at the person sanding the sides. They look worse than you. At the sweat lodge, you help arrange the wood. You stack it in the pattern someone older than you tells you to use. It's precise. It matters. You don't question it. You finish. You sit in the dirt. You don't get up for a long time. In the late afternoon, the wind finally stirs. A breeze, barely there, rolls through the plaza like a whisper from the trees. You look up. You want to cry. You don't. But you think about it. You're sent to fetch water. Again. The gourd is heavier this time. You walk slower. You stop halfway and sit under a tree with smooth bark and wide leaves. You close your eyes. You drift. Someone throws a pine cone at you. It lands next to your leg. You get up. You walk. Dinner is a simple broth with floating bits of greens and a chunk of meat that might be frog, maybe bird. You don't ask. You just chew and try not to think too much. The sun sinks slow tonight. Long, stretched-out shadows drape over the mounds like lazy blankets. You help sweep the plaza, just dust mostly, a lot of it. You use a bundle of stiff grass and push it across packed earth that doesn't want to move. Your shoulders protest, your palms sting. You keep going. You nod at people. They nod back. No one talks. You hear drumming in the distance, steady, slow, not ceremonial, just rhythm, for breathing. You lie down outside your shelter for a while before going in. The stars are fuzzy through the haze, but they're there. You exhale, you itch, you stretch, you roll onto your side and whisper to no one, "Never again." You know that's a lie. You'll be up again tomorrow. Same sun, same dust, same aching joints. But that's what this is. Life in a city made of dirt and breath and stubbornness. You wouldn't last a day, and yet, somehow, you just did. Again. You wake up late, not on purpose. Your body just refuses to move when it's supposed to. The mat under you is slightly less wet than usual. That should be a victory. It isn't. Your shoulders are stiff, your jaw clicks. Your left arm feels like it was used as a paddle in someone's secret canoe race. You groan, sit up, and immediately regret sitting up. Everything's sore, even your earlobes. Outside, the sun's already halfway up the sky. You've missed the first task rotation. You're hoping no one noticed. They did. You duck out of your shelter and pretend to look busy. You grab a stick and poke at the fire pit like you've been tending it all morning. Someone walks by. You both nod. Neither of you says anything. That's how lies work here. Mutual silence. You finally get handed a task, clearing brush near the north path. Overgrown trails are a problem. They collect bugs, slow down trade, and give snakes places to think about biting you. You grab a digging stick and a stone blade and start hacking. The weeds fight back. The thorns are aggressive. You get scratched 3 times in 5 minutes. You bleed from your shin and pretend you don't see it. Everyone's bleeding somewhere. You clear maybe 10 feet of trail in an hour. You sweat so much your tunic sticks to your spine like a second, smaller, less helpful person. The sun glares down like it's judging you. A man walks past with a bundle of firewood balanced on one shoulder and doesn't even look tired. You hate him just a little. You keep cutting. Your hands start cramping. You switch to your left. It's worse. You switch back. Eventually, someone blows a horn. You drop your tools and pretend you were about to take a break anyway. Lunch is a boiled mixture of pumpkin and something chewy. You eat it all. Then you chew on a piece of bark to clean your teeth. You get a splinter in your gum. You decide not to smile the rest of the day. You're then told to help with thatching. Roofs always need patching. Always. You gather bundles of reed from the drying racks and carry them to a half-finished shelter where someone's already balancing on the frame, tying cords, swatting flies, and complaining loudly. You pass the reeds up. They lash them into place. Some fall. You catch one. You miss the next 2. One hits you on the head. You act like it didn't. A bee flies directly into your face. You flinch. Everyone notices. You pretend it didn't happen. The sun keeps climbing. Your skin starts to sting. You duck under the shade of a storage hut and drink from your gourd. The water's warm now. You drink it anyway. Someone asks for help hauling clay. You can't say no, not really. You head to the riverbank with a wide, flat basket. You squat, dig with your hands, scoop the wet, heavy mess into the basket, lift it, and immediately regret your life choices. You carry it back slowly. Every step feels like dragging a boulder made of regret. By the time you get back, your legs are shaking. You drop the clay and sit in the nearest patch of shade. You don't get up for a while. The rest of the day is more of the same. Tying, hauling, patching, bending, sweating. At one point, you step on a fishbone. It jabs right through the thin sole of your foot wrap. You yank it out. There's blood. You wrap it in a scrap of moss. You keep working. Evening rolls in quietly. There's no feast, no music. Just tired people eating tired food and staring at the sky like it might change something. You get a small bowl of roasted nuts and a slice of dried squash. You chew until your jaw clicks again. You don't care. Someone nearby starts coughing, a dry, persistent cough. You all pretend not to hear it, because what can you do? You lie on your mat early tonight. You don't even bother dusting it off. You just drop, face first. Your face itches, your knees throb, your fingernails are rimmed with clay, and your back feels like it's been walked on by angry squirrels. But the roof didn't leak today. The path got cleared, and you didn't faint. So, you survived. Barely. You turn on your side, pull your hide cloak up over your shoulder, and listen to the wind rustle through the reeds. You close your eyes. Tomorrow is waiting, and you'll be there one splintered step at a time. You wake up to shouting. Not panic shouting, just the normal kind. Someone's arguing about a broken tool. Someone else is insisting they fixed it yesterday. A third voice says it wasn't broken until someone sat on it. You roll over, bury your face in your arm, and pretend you don't hear any of it. Doesn't matter. You're already awake. You sit up and blink into the morning haze. Your shoulder clicks. Your hip creaks. You look at your hands and wonder when they started turning into permanent tools. There's clay under your fingernails, a scratch on your knuckle you don't remember getting, and your thumb's still sore from jamming it into a bundle of cane 3 days ago. You step outside. The village is already moving. Fires are being stoked. People are hauling things. The children are chasing each other around the edge of the plaza, like sleep is a myth and rules are for old people. Today, it's your turn to help with pottery firing, which sounds interesting until you realize it involves sitting in the heat of a flame for hours, gently rearranging hot coals around clay pots that can and will explode if you blink too hard. You arrive at the firing pit and help arrange the half-dried pots, bowls, jars, little offering dishes. Each one handmade, each one slightly uneven, each one ready to betray you the second the temperature's wrong. You help build the fire up slowly, layer by layer. Dry grass, twigs, hardwood, then dung if you need a longer burn. It smells like you'd expect. You fan the flame. You adjust the wood. You watch the pots change color slowly from pale gray to reddish brown. Someone taps one too early and it cracks in half. You all groan like a chorus. The potter just nods and says, "Next time." You admire the patience. You also start counting how long until you can sneak away for water. Eventually, you get your break. You stumble toward the creek, refill your gourd, and dunk your arms in up to your elbows. The cold stings in a good way. You consider crawling in head first. You don't. Barely. You pass 2 people arguing over shell beads. One insists they're tradeworthy. The other claims they're too chipped. You don't take a side. You just keep walking, chewing on a strip of dried fruit that tastes like fermented bark and disappointment. Later, you help carry the cooled pots to the storage hut. They're heavier than they look. Everything is. You try to be careful. You drop one anyway. It cracks. You wince. No one yells. It happens. That almost makes it worse. You get reassigned to gathering firewood. Again. You trek back into the woods with an empty basket and a sharp stick. You find dry limbs, half-dead branches, and one very angry squirrel that tries to throw something at you from above. You gather your bundle and tie it tight with bark cord. On the way back, you trip. The wood spills everywhere. You sit on a rock and stare into the trees for a full minute before picking it all up again. Someone back at the village thanks you. That's new. You almost forget how to respond. You eat dinner on the ground near the plaza. Corn cakes again, but this time with a few crushed berries mixed in. It's actually good. You eat 3. You lick your fingers. You don't care who sees. Later, you get caught up helping prepare paint for the next day's ceremony. Red ochre, ground fine, mixed with water and crushed seed oil. You stir it with a carved stick, trying not to splash. The paste smells like metal and earth. It stains your fingernails instantly. You're told you'll be painting walls tomorrow. Big ones, public ones. No pressure. You sit on a log near the fire and try to stretch your legs without cramping. Someone nearby is humming the same song you've heard every night for weeks. You still don't know the words. No one does. The stars are faint tonight. The moon's hiding. You lie back and let your bones settle into the dirt. You can't feel your thighs. That's fine. Your mouth tastes like charcoal. Also fine. Your eyelids droop, and just before sleep pulls you under, you hear someone mumble. That one pot did survive, though. And that's it. That's the win. That's your good news. That pot survived. So did you. Somehow. You wake up to the sound of snoring. Not yours. It's coming from just outside your shelter, and it's loud, wet, rattling, like a small animal stuck in a reed pipe. You lie there staring at the roof, blinking slowly, wondering if sleep is even worth chasing anymore. You roll over, curl your legs up under the cloak, and try to find a position that doesn't make your knees complain. You fail. You get up, stumble outside. The ground is cool and damp, but not in a refreshing way. More like someone spilled lukewarm soup all over the village overnight. A thick mist clings to everything, softening the mounds in the distance until they look like sleeping giants. You stretch. Your spine cracks in 3 places. One of your elbows refuses to straighten all the way. You stop trying. Today is painting day. You're excited for half a second until you remember that painting doesn't mean sitting in the shade sketching cute birds. It means standing on a log scaffold for hours, slapping red and black pigment onto the plastered walls of a ceremonial building that's older than your grandparents and twice as grumpy. You eat something first. Barely. A mashed mixture of boiled chestnuts and leftover squash. It tastes like soggy memory. You chew slowly, mostly because your jaw is stiff. You swallow and promise yourself a better lunch. That's a lie, but you tell it anyway. The scaffold is rickety. It shifts when you climb it. You smile through gritted teeth and hold onto the top rail like you trust it. You don't. You dip your brush, just a bundle of bound fibers, and start painting. Big looping spirals, stylized birds, patterns that you only half understand. The person above you is dripping paint. The one below you is muttering about balance and proportions and how no one listens to the ancestors anymore. You keep working. Your arm burns. Your shoulder locks up halfway through a snake symbol. You stretch. The scaffold wobbles. Everyone yells. You freeze. Eventually, someone calls for a break. You climb down so slowly, your knees buckle halfway. You pretend you meant to sit. You don't move for 5 minutes. Lunch is edible. Warm broth, mostly water, with maybe 2 beans and something floating in it that might have once been a leaf. You sip it and pretend it's stew. The rest of the day is spent mixing pigments. You crush red ochre with a stone until your fingers blister. You mix it with seed oil. It smells like rust and old bark. You stir it. You stir it more. You keep stirring it until it looks like something sacred and not something scraped off the bottom of a canoe. Later, someone spills a bowl of black paint. It hits the ground with a soft splat and soaks into a mat. You all stare at it like it personally offended the spirits. You spend the next half hour trying to clean it with sand and husk cloth. You fail. You move on. By afternoon, you're sent to help mend a dugout canoe. Again. This one's cracked from being left in the sun too long. The edges are warped. The pitch is peeling. You sit inside it while someone else scrapes the surface with a flint blade. It smells like mildew, smoke, and disappointment. You breathe it in anyway. Later still, you help lay out nets along the creek, fish traps made of cane and old bark cord. You step in mud, sink ankle deep, lose your sandal, find it again, celebrate silently. You return to the village carrying 2 small fish and a wet sleeve. Dinner is those same fish, shared between 5 people. You get 2 bites, 1 bone. You crunch it accidentally and pretend it didn't hurt. The sun sets early tonight, slipping behind the tallest mound like it's clocking out before you. You sit near the fire with 3 others. No one speaks. The flames dance. Someone throws in a pine cone. It crackles like a curse. A child nearby is crying softly. No one moves to hush them. Sometimes crying is allowed. You lie back on your mat, staring at the soot-stained ceiling. Your legs throb. Your back feels like it's wearing a too tight mask. You shift onto your side. Your cloak slips off. You don't bother pulling it back up. You close your eyes. You think about the brush, the net, the paint that didn't come off your fingers. You made it again. Somehow. You wouldn't last a day here. But tonight, you lasted just long enough. You wake up sore in a new place today. Your lower back, right side, probably from twisting the wrong way in your sleep, or maybe from lugging that basket of pitch yesterday while trying to prove something to someone who wasn't even watching. You sit up and immediately feel the familiar crunch of dried grass stuck to your cheek. There's a bug crawling in your hair. You flick it away and mutter something low and tired, which in modern terms translates to absolutely not today. Outside, the sun's already bright. Too bright. It's the kind of morning light that doesn't ask for permission. It just shows up and starts burning. You splash your face with a handful of tepid water from the pot near your door. It smells faintly of last night's stew. You're too tired to care. Someone passes you a small bundle of dried meat as you walk through the plaza. It's chewy, stringy, and tastes like tree bark and salt. You eat the whole thing. It sticks in your teeth for the next 3 hours. Today you're on charcoal duty. That's not a typo. That's your real job. See, yesterday's firing left a heap of coals in the center pit. They have to be sorted, crushed, stored. Some for ink, some for medicine, some for ceremonial powder, all of it messy. You squat over the pit with a grinding stone and start crushing. Black dust gets under your nails, into your hair, into your mouth. It tastes like ash and failure. You spit. It doesn't help. The sun climbs higher. Sweat runs down your spine in a slow, mocking trickle. You shift your legs and instantly regret it. Your knees hate this position. Your thighs are numb. Your elbows are vibrating. You keep going. Around midday, someone hands you a gourd of water and a dried berry cake. You chew it slowly. It's not good. It's also not bad. It just is. Later, you're assigned to help with ash spreading. That's right. Today, you're walking through the fields, spreading fine gray ash to enrich the soil for the next planting cycle. It clings to everything. It floats on the wind. It finds its way into your nose, your eyes, your ears. You blink and the world goes blurry for a full minute. You dump handfuls of ash between rows of beans and squash, using a carved scoop and your own broken patience. You sneeze. Once, twice, a third time. The person working next to you doesn't flinch. Everyone here is immune to discomfort. By afternoon, you're helping reinforce one of the plank walls near the ceremonial house. The logs are thick. The bindings are old. Your job is to wedge new supports into the frame and pretend your arms haven't been aching since breakfast. You carry poles from the woodpile, one at a time. You trip once, scrape your ankle. No blood, just pride. Someone offers a paste for your leg, some kind of mashed root. It smells like boiled leather and sadness. You smear it on anyway. The sun begins to dip. Shadows stretch. The village slows. You rinse your arms in the creek. The water's cool, gentle. A small moment of grace. You watch a heron stalk something along the far bank. It freezes, stabs forward, pulls a frog from the reeds. The frog kicks twice, then nothing. You stand there longer than you mean to. Dinner is lentil mash, or something that used to be lentils. It's grayish, soft, and oddly sweet. You eat it all. A fire's lit near the plaza. People gather, mostly in silence. Someone plays a bone flute. The notes are uneven, beautiful in a tired way. You sit cross-legged, watching the flames eat down the logs. A child leans against your side and falls asleep mid-sentence. You let them. Eventually, you shuffle back to your mat. Your hands still smell like ash. Your clothes are stiff with sweat. Your neck is sunburned on one side. You lie down. You pull your cloak over your eyes, and you whisper to no one, "One more." Because that's how it goes here. Not in weeks or months. Just one more. One more pot. One more log. One more day. You wouldn't last here, but somehow you just keep going. You wake up to the sound of rain on thatch. Not a soft drizzle. Not a poetic mist. No, this is aggressive, slanted, pounding rain. Like the sky decided it had something personal against your roof. You roll over and feel cold seeping through the mat. The corner near your feet is soaked. You curl tighter, but it doesn't help. Someone groans from the other side of the shelter. You hear the unmistakable sound of a drip landing in a clay bowl. You know that sound. You've lived with that sound. You don't need to look to know exactly where the leak is. You sit up. Your hair is damp. Your tunic is damp. Your soul is damp. You open the door flap and are immediately hit with a faceful of wet wind. You shut it again. You sigh. You try again, slower this time. The village is a mess. The paths are soup. The fire pits are struggling. People move like ghosts through the steam and gray, slipping on the muddy slope of the plaza mound, carrying bundles over their heads, swearing under their breath. You are told to help dig drainage. Of course you are. You grab a digging stick, a flat basket, and join the slow-moving crew near the southern trail, where water's pooling dangerously close to the new shelters. You kneel. You dig. The earth is heavy and wet and sticky. Every scoop takes twice the effort. Your hands are already blistered, but you work anyway. The mud gets under your nails, between your toes, up your calves. At one point, you sneeze, and half a mouthful of grit enters your life forever. You don't even spit it out, you just swallow. Accept your fate. Someone nearby jokes that maybe the gods are just washing the village. No one laughs. Everyone's too wet to have a sense of humor. You dig trenches in silence, the water running along them in little lines, like the village is crying very slowly. By midday, your arms feel like they've been boiled. You stop for a bowl of warm mash. It's been thinned out because everyone's rationing again. You can taste every grain. Literally. You crunch one and pretend it's intentional. Then you're sent to help secure the food shelter. The wind has pushed one of the wall supports loose. You climb up the slick, narrow ladder with a bundle of fresh lashings and immediately regret every decision that led you to this point. Your fingers slip. The log creaks. You hug the side like your life depends on it. Because it kind of does. You tie the new binding in place with trembling hands. Someone below you yells something. You don't hear it. The wind rips it away. You descend slowly, every step a negotiation with gravity. On the ground, you collapse onto a wet log and stare up at the sky like it owes you money. You help carry firewood next. It's wet, all of it. You know it won't burn, but you carry it anyway, because standing around is frowned upon. Your back aches, your shoulders ache. Your feet slosh inside your sandals like two wet frogs trapped in bark shoes. Later, the rain eases up. People start gathering in small clusters under awnings, huts, and overhangs, waiting for dinner, waiting for warmth, waiting for some miracle to make the next hour easier. It doesn't come. Dinner is more of the same, mush with weeds, slightly scorched. You eat it in silence. Someone tells a story about a child who was born during a storm and later became a bird. No one interrupts. Not because it's good, but because it passes the time. You dry your cloak near the fire. It doesn't really dry. It just gets warm and damp instead of cold and damp. You lie down later with your head on a rolled-up wrap, your feet near the fire pit, and your heart somewhere between your ribs and your spine. You listen to the wind. It moans through the reeds, through the mounds, through every crevice of your tired body. And somehow, this feels normal. Not easy. Never easy. But expected. Tomorrow, it might not rain. Tomorrow, you might stay dry. Tomorrow, you might not have to dig a moat with a stick and false hope. But tonight you made it. You made it. Again. Sleep now. Because it's the only soft thing you get. You wake up to smoke. Not the terrifying, everything is burning kind, just the regular morning kind, the kind that curls low from the hearth as damp wood finally catches flame. You cough once, wave a hand in front of your face, and blink the sting out of your eyes. Your throat feels dry. Your lips are cracked. You lick them and taste ash and sleep. Your back is stiff, your fingers swollen, and something deep in your hip clicks when you try to stand. You're greeted outside by the thick smell of earth, clay, and wet reed matting. A few children are dragging a broken basket through a puddle, pretending it's a canoe, One of them falls face first into the mud and comes up laughing. You shake your head. You envy that energy. Today's your turn to check the fish traps. You grab a paddle, not because you get a canoe, don't be ridiculous, but because someone said it might help push through the shallow reeds if the water's still high. You also grab a woven net bag. You don't expect it to fill, but hope is a funny thing. You walk the muddy path toward the creek, your feet sliding every few steps. A heron watches you from the shallows, unmoving, patient. You think about asking it for advice. The first trap is empty. The second has a single fish, small, twitchy. You grab it, and it immediately flips out of your hand and back into the water. You curse, quietly. The third trap is jammed. A stick wedged inside. You kneel to fix it and immediately soak your knee wrap. You sigh, loudly this time. You return to the village with exactly one fish. No one congratulates you. They weren't going to anyway. You drop it off with the others and wash your hands in the same basin 5 other people just used. The water smells like effort. Breakfast is a surprise. There's roasted corn today, actual roasted corn, crispy at the edges, slightly sweet. Someone managed to save enough ears from the last harvest and decided to share. You savor every bite. You eat it slowly, one kernel at a time, like it might be the last decent food you get before the next storm. After breakfast, you're assigned to the platform mound trail maintenance. That means hauling dirt. Again. Not because it's exciting, but because erosion's been doing its thing and someone has to keep the steps from disappearing. You fill a basket with clay-rich soil from the designated pile, haul it up the side of the mound, and dump it where directed. Repeat. The basket digs into your back. You shift it. It digs into your shoulder instead. Halfway through your 5th trip, your legs start twitching involuntarily. You take a break on a flat stone that's only slightly less uncomfortable than standing. You chew a dried plum someone hands you in passing. It's sour. You like it. By mid-afternoon, your tunic is soaked through. Your arms are speckled with dirt, sweat, and what you hope is not bird droppings. You help tamp down the new dirt with a wide paddle. It's supposed to level the path. Your hands vibrate with each hit. You pretend they don't. Someone tells you the ceremony schedule for the next moon cycle just got posted. You pretend to care. You're too tired to care. You'll care tomorrow. Maybe. Later, you're asked to carry a clay vessel to the east side of the village. It's large, beautiful, heavy. You cradle it with both arms like a sleeping child. You walk slowly, carefully, past people who don't get out of your way. Your arms burn. You don't complain. You deliver it. No cracks. The potter nods. That's it. That's the reward. You rinse your arms in a rain barrel. The water's warm and smells like the roof. You scrub your face and inhale deeply. You almost fall asleep standing up. Dinner is a stew thickened with cornmeal and flavored with crushed seeds. It's warm. It's good. You almost cry. That night, you lie on your mat and feel the day in every part of your body. Your calves throb. Your hands feel swollen. There's a cut on your arm you don't remember getting. And still, you survived another rotation of responsibility. Another day of carrying, fixing, chewing, sweating, and nodding your way through. You close your eyes. You whisper a thank you. Not to anyone in particular, just to the air, the dirt, the fact that your roof didn't cave in. Sleep comes slow, then all at once, because your bones are done arguing. You wake up with your face pressed into a woven mat, a fresh line pressed into your cheek like some ancient form of branding. You blink, shift slightly, and realize half your arm is asleep. You slap it to life. It tingles in that awful way nerves do when they remember they exist. You groan, sit up, and immediately regret the angle your neck chose during the night. Outside, it's gray again. Not raining. Just undecided. The kind of morning where the sun is technically up, but only because the world demanded it. You hear someone chopping wood. The steady thunk echoes through the village. It's both rhythmic and annoying, which is sort of the official theme of life here. You walk toward the communal fire. It's already going. Someone's stirring something in a pot. You don't ask what it is. You already know. It's mush. Of course it's mush. Slightly different color today, but still mush. You chew and nod politely at the person who handed it to you. That's the transaction. You're told to help with bark stripping today. You sigh, loudly. It's for waterproofing the outer walls of the food shelters, which means heading into the woods, peeling sheets of tree bark with a dull blade, carrying them back in bundles, and not slicing open your hands in the process. You grab your tools. You trudge toward the trees. The air is damp and close. Your tunic sticks to your back like a second sweatier tunic. Bugs hover in front of your eyes. You swing at them like you're conducting an invisible orchestra of irritation. You find a suitable tree, crouch down, and begin to score the bark. Long, even strips. Pull slow. If you pull fast, it tears. If it tears, you start over. If you start over, you slowly descend into madness. Your hands ache after the third strip. Your fingers go numb by the sixth. You tie the bundle with cordage that's already fraying and start the walk back. Halfway there, the bundle shifts. The bark slices your forearm. You don't drop it, but you do hiss a few words that might summon a minor forest demon. You deliver the bundle. They say thanks. You nod. You wipe the sweat from your eyes with a sleeve that smells like swamp. Later, you help secure the bark to the frame with wooden pegs. It's simple work. Boring, careful, quiet. You get into a rhythm. Until one peg splinters and stabs you in the palm. You suck the blood off your hand and keep going. Someone offers you a bite of mashed berries as a thank you. You take it. It's sweet, cold, and the best thing you've tasted all week. In the afternoon, you carry baskets of drying beans to the raised platform storage. They're heavier than they look. You try to carry 2 at once. Your back screams. You go back to 1 at a time. You pass a boy carrying a gourd almost as big as his torso. He stumbles. You catch it. He nods. You nod. The gourd sloshes. You pretend your wrist isn't about to fall off. Dinner is corn cakes. Again. One has a burnt edge. You save it for last because, somehow, that part tastes better. At the fire tonight, someone tells a story about a crow that stole the sun and had to trade it back for a single roasted fish. No one asks why a bird wanted the sun. That's not the point. The point is, someone got the fish. You smile. You sit near the fire until your eyelids start dropping on their own. You shuffle back to your mat. Your shoulders feel like stone. Your feet feel like wood. You lie down. The sky outside is dark. The clouds hang low. You hear frogs singing from the creek bank. You shift. Your blanket slides off. You let it. You breathe in. You made it through bark stripping day. You made it through another stretch of tedium and blisters and invisible splinters and hot mush. You did it. Somehow. Again. You wake up confused. For a second, you don't know where you are. Your dreams were loud, chaotic scenes involving fish, fire, and someone yelling about misplaced reeds. You open your eyes, and you're still in Cahokia, still on a mat that smells like damp straw and yesterday's sweat, still under a hide that slipped halfway off during the night, still surrounded by the constant, familiar hum of people doing things at a pace that never allows silence to fully settle. You sit up and your back cracks like old bark. You rub your face and find dried something in the corner of your eye. Ash, probably. You stretch, yawn, and feel the unmistakable pull of a muscle in your side that decided to protest even though it wasn't invited to participate in anything yesterday. You step outside. It's warm again. Not hot, just sticky. The air feels like it's been chewed and spit back out by the trees. Somewhere to your left, a child is laughing. Somewhere to your right, someone is very clearly yelling at a goat. You pretend not to notice either and head to the fire pit. Breakfast is different today. Some sort of stew with beans, maybe a chunk of fish if you squint. You chew slowly, carefully. One wrong bite, and your molar might quit on you. Still, it's hot, and it fills your stomach more than the usual gray mush. You don't ask why. You don't want to jinx it. Your assignment today? Shell bead sorting. Yes, really. You are led to a shaded structure near the central plaza, where a woven mat has been laid out, and a shallow basket filled with tiny, imperfect, vaguely shiny shells has been dumped. You're told to separate the usable ones from the cracked, faded, or chipped ones. You stare at the pile like it personally offended you. Then you sit down and start picking, one by one. For hours, it's quiet, meditative almost, until your legs fall asleep and your fingers cramp. You try to shift position. Your hip pops. The person next to you raises one eyebrow. You pretend not to notice. After a while, you become numb to everything but the shells. You can tell their weight before you pick them up. You start seeing patterns in their shapes. You question whether you're sorting beads or slowly becoming one. Eventually, you get up and stretch. Every joint complains. You walk it off. You're handed a second task, flattening bark. You weren't prepared for that either. You're handed strips of bark harvested earlier this week, thick, curled, resistant. You're supposed to soak it, pound it flat, and then lay it under stone slabs to press overnight. For what purpose? No idea. Roof patching. Maybe shoes. Maybe art. You don't ask. You soak the bark in a basin. It smells like mildew and tree blood. You take a flat rock and begin pounding, and pounding, and pounding. Your hands start to tingle. You switch to your other arm. It's worse. You go back. You stop for water. You keep pounding. Someone passes by and tells you it looks good. You thank them. It's the first compliment you've had in 4 days. You smile. For real. Later, you help transport the bark slabs to the drying rack. Your arms tremble with each step. You wonder if bark weighs more when it knows you're tired. Dinner is simple. Greens, ground seeds, a little smoked meat. You eat quietly, sitting on the same log you always sit on. You're joined by the usual few. No one says much. The silence is comfortable. Someone starts humming. You hum too, out of instinct. The sky darkens. Clouds move slow above the mound tops. Fireflies blink near the creek. You walk back to your mat. You lie down. You listen to your body. It's loud, but not as loud as your mind yesterday. Progress. You fall asleep thinking about the one shell bead you tucked in your pouch. The good one. The perfect one. The one no one saw but you. You don't know why you kept it, but it matters. And tonight, that's enough.